Hello and welcome. My name is Justin Broom and you're watching The Weekly Sweep, WLCN's brand new online series bringing you the newest perspective on today's trending topics. Brought to you with support from By the Bean Coffee Shop in Lincoln, Illinois. On today's episode, we're talking about book-to-movie adaptations. One of the biggest summer blockbusters this year has been The Fault in Our Stars, based on the novel by YouTuber and author John Green, which follows two teenagers as they fall in love and deal with terminal illness. In TV, HBO's Game of Thrones is one of the most critically acclaimed shows on TV, based on George R.R. Martin's acclaimed series, A Song of Ice and Fire. But this isn't a new concept for Hollywood. With film series like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, and even films like Silver Linings Playbook, Mrs. Doubtfire, and Forrest Gump, all of these films have been based on movies. Has Hollywood just been running out of ideas, or are they onto something? To answer these questions, I brought in a couple of my favorite avid book readers. Introducing Brianna Wampler and Rebecca Stein. So let's start off by introducing yourselves.
I'm Brianna Wampler. I'm going to Missouri State University. I'm going to major in Spanish.
I'm Rebecca Stein. I'll be going to University of Illinois Springfield, and I'll be majoring in legal studies.
All right, so let's get started. How do you guys generally feel about these kind of adaptations of turning books into either a film or a TV show?
I absolutely love it. I love being able to watch books that I love on screen, being able to see the characters interact with each other, and just being able to see what I've already seen in my mind but in a different way. I just love it.
I have to say the same, but a lot of times I'm a lot more critical. I have like a certain standard that I want them to uphold, but all the same, I love them.
All right. So why do you think Hollywood is so adamant about adapting books into certain things? As they just run out of ideas, or what do you think is the motivation behind that?
I think they've just found that the adaptations are very popular with especially people our age, because we've read these books, we've loved these books, we've fallen in love with characters, and we just want to be able to see them on screen, and they know that. So the more books that they change into movies, the more they can be successful.
I think it's because they realize that the viewers want to re-experience certain things that are familiar to them in a whole new light. And with beloved books and the characters that readers have already become so close to just reinterpret that on screen is something very exciting.
All right. And if you look at kind of the most popular films today, Hunger Games or Divergent, these books kind of already have a following behind them, so Hollywood's pretty adamant about kind of capitalizing on that fan base already. Do you think kind of using these fan bases can be a good thing or a bad thing? Why do you think so? And maybe some examples.
It's definitely a good thing, because you already have the fan base built up, and so we already have people that are definitely going to go see this movie because they love the book. But that also means that they're going to be a lot more critical about the movie. So if you're not really close to how the book was, they're going to complain and they're not going to like it. So you have to be very careful about how you do it.
It's a double-edged sword. Like she said, if the fan base doesn't really like something about the movie, they're going to complain about it. But at the same time, with all the hype, the fan base will certainly advertise the movie a lot.
So what are your guys' favorite adaptations that you've seen in TV or film?
One of my favorites is definitely the Harry Potter series, especially the first and second one. I think Chris Columbus did an excellent job in the directing. The casting especially, I love the characters that they used. I just thought they did a really good job changing the book into a movie, because we all love the books, and I just really like the way that they did it.
For books, I would have to say Harry Potter also, and Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. And another interesting adaptation that I like is The Walking Dead, where it follows characters from the comic books, but at the same time, it kind of diverges and goes on its own storyline. And I just like the way that these plots are all thought out, and the acting's incredible. And I just think it's awesome to see something reinterpreted from writing to the screen.
So when you're watching an adaptation of maybe something you've read or know that other people have read, would you prefer if that they stick directly to what the story is from the books, or kind of like to separate it as the books are kind of their own thing and the movies are kind of their own thing when they kind of separate from the main plot line?
I definitely prefer them to stick to the main plot because that is the whole point of adapting a book to a movie. But if you want to make like a few little adjustments to make the movie more geared towards a certain audience or something, if you do it well, then it's okay. But if you like completely leave out like a huge plot line, or if you completely change it, you're going to get a lot of fans angry, and it just is not going to work out well for you.
Percy Jackson.
Personally, I would like people to stick to the storylines of the books because like there's so much there's so much to go off of, and I don't really see a point in trying to like veer off that. But I can see why some producers and directors would do that. Like if it's well done, I would go along with it, but I don't like it when like TV shows or movies change stuff just for the shock factor. Like if it works, then do it, but if it doesn't, then don't.
What's one of your guys' favorite books that you would like to see turned into a movie or a TV show?
I would really love to see, one of my favorite series is by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. It follows this FBI agent named Agent Pendergast. He's kind of like Sherlock-esque, kind of like he's super smart and he can solve anything. I just really love that series, and I would love to see it put into a movie. Actually, I already know I would love to see Paul Bettany play Agent Pendergast. I think he would just do a wonderful job with it. All right.
I'd have to say the Japanese book Battle Royale. It already has a movie adaptation, but I think it'd be really interesting to see it as like a mini-series just because there's so many different characters that the book explores, but the movie doesn't really. It's basically about, it's Hunger Games-esque. It was written in 1996, I think, and it's about these children being forced to fight to the death. And there's already like a manga adaptation too, and there's like little variations in between, but basically it's the same. And I think it's interesting to explore how that controversial subject, yeah.
So like we were talking about earlier about how certain books that get turned into movies have kind of their own fan base. Do you think that studios in Hollywood could kind of take advantage of that and use that fan base just as a way to kind of just make money because they know people are just going to go out and see it because they like the books?
Oh, definitely. The best example of that would be probably the Twilight series. It had a huge fan base. Everybody read it whether they liked it or not, even if it was like boys like being forced to by their girlfriends kind of thing. Everybody has read those books, and they definitely made money off that. They would have made so much Twilight merchandise and everything like that.
Yeah, merchandising especially. Like, I think that a lot of people would go to a movie and see something like the Mockingjay pin from the Hunger Games, and then like the next day I'd see like 20 people at school with that exact Mockingjay pin. So I think that the fan base certainly does advertise a lot, and that Hollywood companies do take advantage of that just to make more money.
Do you feel that with the kind of bigger increase with book-to-movie adaptations, do you think it's actually encouraging kids to read, or that it's hindering them where they can just see the movie rather than read it?
I think it depends on the person, but I like to think it's encouraging more kids to read. If they see a movie they really like and then they find out that there's a book, it'll encourage them to read the book and fall in love with the book like so many of us already have, and be able to talk about the book with their friends and everything. I think it's good.
It's a different way to like reimagine stuff. Like, I would definitely say that books are better than movies, and I know a lot of other people say that too. So when book readers tell a movie viewer that the book's definitely worth checking out, I think some of them take that into consideration, and then when they read the book they fall in love with the story and characters all over again. So I think that's certainly a factor.
All right, I think that's all the questions I have for you guys. So thanks again for being on the show for me and being on the first episode. Make sure you guys subscribe to the WLCN YouTube page for more weekly sweep videos, and leave a comment down below of any of your favorite book-to-movie adaptations or any topics you'd like to see discussed on the show. You can find the show on WLCNonline.com at any time, and we're also on air at Sundays. So I will see you guys next time. My name's Justin Broom, and this has been the Weekly Sweep.